Madang Lutherans highlighting importance of the environment. Concerns over benefits from Manus Refugee deal. And Sydney Mining Conference expected to draw thousands.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Wednesday's news. A group of more than 30 Lutherans travelled by foot to 4 provinces as part of an outreach to remind the people of what the Christian faith preaches about looking after the environment. The group, which includes youths from Karkar Island in the Madang province, walked 261 kilometers between Chimbu, Western Highlands, the Eastern Highlands and Jiwaka provinces. They highlighted that the Lutheran Church does not support seabed mining. Rachel Shise in Madang with this report.
It took 9 days for this group of Lutherans to walk within the 4 Highlands provinces, an estimated total of 261 kilometers. Their outreach awareness focused more on the issues affecting creation, hence focusing on the natural resources in the country, specifically on the deep sea mining project that's already been licensed by the government to operate in the country.
Experimental seabed mining come up na mipla sanap strong lo fighting this plan mipla no like this plan because mipla looking life lo mipla stop inside lo this plan money cargo embe come lo now finished so life the man embe come yet suppose mipla passing mouse who said that making this plan.
Pastor Ibak said despite speaking about the sea to people of the Highlands provinces, most people were in tears when the youths from Karkar Island performed dramas and songs expressing the importance of the sea to their livelihood and the country as a whole.
Nanti manol cry because all cry mim so mi osen iga desla heavy mista pinis so sets na country by me making one something like this la abuse rights lo one.
The former Chief Justice, a Karkar Islander and the Lutheran churchgoer himself, Sir Arnold Ahmed, regarding the issue, said, in terms of awareness, the government still has to do more to help the people understand the environmental, biological and oceanographic impacts that the mining can have on the sea once disturbed.
The potential impact upon the sea life is still uncertain, and so I have expressed a view against the project from continuing until those issues are more fully explained to the people.
Sir Ahmed says that for such projects it is very vital for the government, regardless of the various departments and the different levels of governments, should stand united and respond in accordance.
There's a lack of united response that results in many issues remaining outstanding until disasters strike us.
Rachel Shise, National EMTV News, Madang.
At least 5 more new landowning groups in East New Britain province have been registered through the Incorporated Land Group concept. This has brought the total number of registered ILGs in the province to over 20. The ILG concept has since become so popular in East New Britain following the unprecedented developments in Kokopo town and other semi-urban areas on the outskirts.
East New Britain is a growing province. Kokopo, the provincial capital, is a city in the making. Businesses are poised to expand and the town boundaries will also be extended. In light of these developments happening here and elsewhere in the province, 5 customary land groups from various wards have put their hands up to get recognitions for their land through the ILG registration, and on Saturday they got their certificate that gives them the recognitions they've been seeking. The Deputy Prime Minister and the Governor for the province, who represented the government during the gathering on Saturday, shared similar sentiments, encouraging their countrymen and women to register their land and use it as an asset.
We can work in some policy where government, one time all traditional landowners, also all ILG holders, only can talk to one time, now approach him, investor, now talk to them. We by come inside, you partner one time us, and we develop this province.
In Papua New Guinea, the people and the land which they lived on are inseparable. The National Lands Department has since opened its doors to allow land-owning citizens to register their land and have a total control over it.
Because today, Yupla now we work on registering Yupla. Now today, more clans that by now, Bauli registering more, now we work with him, that's all certificate.
Successive PNG governments on one hand have been struggling to negotiate with landowners to free up customary land to meet the growing economic demands, while on the other hand, it tries to meet the aspiration of landowners. And the coming of the ILG concept is one avenue that has brought confidence to the land-owning clans on how they want to develop their land. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
Political leaders in Manus have criticized the benefits of the Manus Regional Processing Center. Manus Governor Charlie Benjamin described the deal as raw, with little attention given to the provincial government. He says despite the ongoing projects, the provincial government continues to struggle to fulfill development aspirations in the Manus deal.
In an exclusive interview with EMTV News, the political head of the small island province was critical over the package benefits to develop Manus province. He says the deal has moved the province some steps forward, however criticisms remain.
Package from Manus, display me always sabe talk that meeting me like some one raw deal. That all this developments come up and people look him. And province must really work hard and fight hard on the Australian government as to how people must work in and what should be done.
Significant projects like the Momoti to Lorenga Road have been completed with other infrastructures in the health and law and order sector. Manus MP Ronnie Knight says Manus has no option but to put up to this decision made by the Australian and PNG government.
You know, I'm calling on UNHCR and IOM. They should step in now. It is a problem that has been shoved into our corner and we're asking them to step in, take control of it. I don't think they want to be there. Most of them don't want to go to Australia anymore either. Just find an alternative country for them and just move them on. Let them get on with their lives.
Meanwhile, MP Knight is calling on authorities in Australia and the PNG government to repatriate all Australian nationals allegedly involved in crimes committed in Manus to face PNG law.
It's about time they looked and saw that, you know, we're a sovereign country and we have our own rules and regulations here that they have to follow. So I'm calling on those people to be brought back and charged.
More of the interviews will be featured in an episode on MTV's Talk Picture program in the coming week. Jack Lapava Jr. National EMTV News.
The 14th Papua New Guinea Mining and Petroleum Investment Conference is set to happen in Sydney, Australia from the 5th to the 7th December 2016. Organised by the PNG Chamber of Mines and Petroleum, the conference and its accompanying finance and technical seminars are expected to attract over 1,000 delegates. A key area of interest will be the second LNG project now taking shape with the Total-led Papua LNG project.
The annual PNG Mining and Petroleum Investment Conference will be held on the first week of December at the Sydney Hilton Hotel. Hundreds of industry players, including mining and petroleum companies, landowners, investors, and government officials, are expected to attend. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill is expected to give the keynote address. Treasurer Patrick Pruich, Mining Minister Byron Chen, and Petroleum Minister Nixon Duban are also expected to make presentations. Petroleum companies like Oil Search, Horizon Oil, and Twinza Oil, and mining companies like Harmony Gold Southeast Asia, Nautilus Minerals, and Barrick are all expected to give presentations on project updates and opportunities. Mining and petroleum companies are facing difficult times with lower commodity prices. Despite this, it's anticipated that the conference theme of delivering on growth opportunities will underpin the confidence in some of the big projects because of their long-term outlook. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
The Christmas and New Year public holidays will fall on Monday 26th of December, Tuesday 27th of December and Monday the 2nd of January 2017. Public servants will be off from duties from Monday 26th of December through to Monday 2nd of January. Personal Management Secretary John Carley said 3 dates that will be paid to public servants who will be working to close down government offices is from the 28th to the 30th of December. These days will not be accrued if not taken. Chuave MP Weramori is calling on the police hierarchy to weed out corrupt practices within the police force. The MP made this remark following the release of an impounded vehicle belonging to the Chuave District Administration by a senior police officer in Goroka. He said the unethical conduct of the officer leaves the assumption that the officer is colluding with criminals.
On the 15th of November 2010, a government check of 240,812 kina was raised by the Chuave District Administration to pay for 2 Toyota Land Cruisers. But to date, the vehicles have not reached the district.
It just so happened that through our own investigations, we realized that those 2 vehicles that were paid for by that particular check, which I've basically detailed, those vehicles to date has not been received by Chuave District because they disappeared from the Elamoto showroom in Goroka and were concealed by thieves. And therefore the matter was reported by the district administration to Goroka Police.
Last week, one of the vehicles was impounded in Goroka and a suspect apprehended.
The suspect in this case is the son of a former politician. To be more precise, the son of the former member for Chuave.
MP Weramori said despite informing the police in Goroka that the vehicle was stolen property, the car was released with no arrests made.
This did not eventuate because a particular officer, whom I believe is in charge of CID Goroka, interfered with the case, and in around 11:30 last week Friday, released the vehicles without any explanations.
The MP described this matter as official corruption and has called on the police hierarchy to look into the matter. Meanwhile, he said assets of the district belongs to the people of Chuave and no one has the right to claim them as their own. Stanley Ove Jr., National EMTV News.
When we come back, development challenges in Hagen district of Morbe, lay police request more manpower and cleaning Mosby campaign wounds up. Stay with us. Welcome back. Hagen Gulf MP Ross Simo says the 10 million kina district funding from the national government is enough to deliver services if the money is spent in the right areas. Hagen Gulf is a large district in the Morbe province and the challenges of delivering services dictates which areas money is spent. Key areas like health, education and infrastructure have been given priority. Bethany Harriman with this report.
Hagen Gulf is a large district. It stretches from the coast of Salamoa to the Markham Valley. The land area, about 352 kilometers. In some parts, people struggle to receive services. Yesterday, a primary school in the district received support. A library from NGO, the Rural Volunteer Library Services, a new ablution block, both funded by the Hagen district. But that's just one primary school in the district. There is still more work to be done.
It's just a big challenge, but we take it one thing at a time as it comes, depending on the funding that comes from the national purse.
Hagen MP Ross Simo is a first-term member of parliament. Key areas, health, education and infrastructure are priority during his term. While the country is going through financial difficulties, Simo says that 10 million kina district funding is ample.
You know, despite the 10 million people talk negative about it, but 10 million for me, this DSIP has worked out a lot in terms of education, health, and the road infrastructures. To date, we've built approximately, 8 roads. They consist from 35 Ks to 62 Ks, and it's working out well for us.
Yesterday, Morobe Governor Kelly Naru attended the ablution block and library opening. Again, commitments were made. Both Naru and Simo talking of building more classrooms and teacher houses in the district before 2017. In 2016, districts have been allocated a third of the national government budget, but that's just on paper. In real terms, this country is still facing a cash flow problem. The two Morobean politicians told the people yesterday that yes, there is a money problem and that service delivery entirely depends on how fast Waigani can prepare and release checks. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Ley.
The increase in street vending and petty crimes by opportunists cannot be controlled by the limited manpower police have. That's from Ley Metropolitan Commander Chief Superintendent Anthony Wagambi, who says the current 360 police officers for Ley is inadequate to handle the crimes. The problem needs a collaborative effort by police and the city authority to have enough men on the ground to prevent these illegal activities.
Ley police have been doing foot patrols near the city's main bus stops and in main shopping areas. However, the number of police officers is not enough to control petty crimes. Wagambi is calling on the city authority to work with police to bring in more men to assist them.
The main problem we face here is the manpower shortage. We have a footbeat unit in place, but the numbers are not as many as we would want it to be. So we're not able to cover a lot of locations. So footbeat policing is something which we can deter a lot of petty crimes. So we see now in Ley there's street selling and pickpocketing. It's still there. It's something which we have to work together with the Ley City Authority.
Wagambi said the Morobe provincial government should control the growth of squatter settlements in the city, adding the increase in squatter settlements is creating an environment for vendors to live. Ley City Council Manager Roy Kamen says they had initially employed 80 men to assist in curbing street vending and petty crimes. The men were employed under the direction from the Morobe provincial government following a demonstration by Morobean youths last year over street selling and harassing of women and girls. To date, only 20 men are employed by the City Council. The other 60 of them were laid off from work due to lack of funds.
This program, in fact, it was not budgeted in this year's budget. That's why they had to get some money from somewhere else to come in and for us to run this program. That's why we have laid them off. For the last, I think, month or so, they have not been on the streets to man the streets.
They have made provisions in the 2017 budget to cater for the continuation of this program. However, Kamen says they have been assisting Erico police with vehicles to carry out their policing duties.
We provide them the logistics. We have helped them with the vehicle. The vehicles that they are using are from the City Council.
Mata Luis, National EMTV News, Ley.
The Clean in Mosby campaign has wound up its 5-week campaign, collecting more than 12,000 kilograms of rubbish. This campaign is the first of its kind, which has seen the involvement of 37 different groups. The underlying message of this campaign is that rubbish is an attitude problem that can be eradicated with a change in mindset. The campaign began on the 17th of October and was to have ended on the 13th of November. However, it was extended to the 20th due to continuous involvement of individual groups. This includes schools, organizations, communities, and business houses. It focused on educating communities and schools of the impacts of poor waste disposal.
Help communities help people, help organizations to understand the impact of plastic products. We see plastic everywhere, but many of us don't understand the health implications that plastic has on our families and ourselves. Also the implications that plastic has on the marine environment.
The rubbish or waste that was collected has been audited and recorded for data collection by the Eco Services Limited. Meanwhile, a waste audit was held yesterday to show the processes involved after a cleanup. This rubbish was from a cleanup from the weekend.
So what we do, we separate into different categories and then we start counting every little rubbish. Even a small piece of glass or broken bottle is counted as well, or even a piece of plastics as well.
From this particular cleanup, they say plastic bags and plastic drink bottles are the two major forms of rubbish found.
Of the rubbish that we audited were plastic bags plastic bags that we use to carry shopping and of unknown origins that they've been in the ground for a long time.
The waste data will be distributed to the PNG Sustainable Coastline, who will publish the findings. From that information, it will help them to come up with ways to minimize rubbish around the city. Merlin Diaukatam, National EMTV News. The PNG Teachers Association is supporting calls for the Teaching Service Commission to finalize the Teaching Service Fixation Agreement. General Secretary Ugwalubu Moana said despite the progress and support by the government, an agreement must be reached by end of this month. He made this statement today while extending another 7 days ultimatum for TSC to respond.
The government has to establish the wage policy parameters where we can negotiate within those parameters and come to a round table discussions so that we can conclude the negotiations and sign an agreement. The signing of the agreement must happen immediately after the 7-day ultimatum.
And now looking at our finance news, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.3150 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3075 $0.4132 Australian dollars, $0.2869 euro and 33.9 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and cocoa closed higher, coffee closed lower, while copra closed the day unchanged. Crude oil closed lower, copper closed higher, while palm oil closed the day unchanged. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 67.18 points higher. The ASX is trading at 71.07 points higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading at 69.3 points higher. Among stories after the break, a child missing for 3 days with no missing persons report from police and still under the care of his finder. Don't go away. Welcome back to the news. A little boy was found wandering near the Vada Vada settlement area in Port Moresby over the weekend. The child is between the ages of 2 to 3 years old and cannot speak clearly. His carer, Jacob Kupin from Wabeg, told EMTV News this morning that he was traveling to Vada Vada settlement last Sunday when he found the child wandering the street. The matter was reported to Gordon and Boroko police stations, but there have been no reports of the missing child filed.
Suppose you said, Papa, Mama, look in Facebook, you said, you find him and stop him, you can contact long. Phone number below me, 705-34423.
Hagen Park Secondary School in Western Highlands Province has been facing overcrowding in classrooms this year. School Principal Tony Buldung said the school will put tough measures on transferee students starting next year. He made these remarks after seeing students with lower grades flooding Hagen Park Secondary through what he described as backdoor deals. His statement was supported by the guidance officer from Western Highlands Province Education Division, Christine Goimba. Vasanata Yama files this report from Mount Hagen.
Hagen Park Secondary is a level 10 school and is situated in the heart of Mount Hagen City. It has a very small landmass and few specialized buildings. However, the school is overpopulated with more than 2,500 students and only 53 teachers to supervise them. One class has at least 70 to 100 students. Tony Buldung is a first-time school principal who started his new career at Hagen Park this year. At the 12th grade 12 graduation, he told parents, guardians and even board members that he won't allow such number of students to be in a classroom. A committee will be created to screen transferees who want to do grades 9 and 11, and only those with higher GPA or grades will be allowed to enroll.
But next year onwards, I will screen everything myself and make sure that I'll get the best. Only those people who are coming in with genuine reasons, and they must meet the requirements of the grade 11.
Buldung also said that the school is facing disciplinary issues from students. He blamed these on the high number of students at the school. Buldung said the tuition-free fee policy is another issue parents use to enroll their students, even though their marks are not qualified. He added that TFF and subsidies does not reach them on time, and this has forced them to cut down on spending such as infrastructure development and have only concentrated on academic performance.
So 30% is going to the stationery supplier, and that is not eventuating. Another 30% goes to, they call it infrastructure development maintenance grants. But that money is given direct to the deposited to our treasury, district treasury account. So if you want to do any maintenance or any infrastructural development in the school, we need to go around and get all quotations.
The Western Highlands Provincial Education Division Guidance Officer, Christine Goimba, supported Buldung and said that selections of all transferee students will come from her office. Goimba encouraged those who might not secure a space next year to use other means to upgrade their marks before they can be eligible to continue their studies. This year, Hagen Park has graduated 406 grade 12 students. With the limited space available at tertiary level, students were encouraged to apply to training centers or colleges to further their studies. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
An educationist believes the more children we have in school, the level of education increases, thus elevating the rate of development. Godfrey Verua, a teacher by profession, said education is the engine room behind a country's development. Mr. Verua said despite the government implementing the free education policy, more children are without a proper formal education.
Godfrey Verua is a teacher by profession. He started his teaching career in 1978 as a math teacher. From North Wagi in the Jiwaka province, Mr. Verua has served the education department for 39 years. However, he says the importance of education is not taken seriously in many PNG communities. He believes PNG should start encouraging the younger population to value education for development to take its course.
I saw that education is the power, and Papua New Guinea will only develop if we can increase the number of people with proper education.
Verua says a community cannot accept change and develop unless there is a certain standard of the level of education by those in the community.
Changes will come when we get more people educated, they get employed, and then in return they will come home, but they will do things to the community, to the village where they belong. And this is where the communities and the villages will develop.
A similar story was shared by Cooper Janis, an employee who served the National Forest Authority for 30 years. A forester by heart, Mr. Janis wants to see highly educated elites to take lead to help the small people.
So I'm proud that I have worked for this organization without getting a second job. I have to call this, I think, has molded me, and I'm prepared to go out.
Both Verua and Janice have served with distinction in the Education and Forest departments, but have resigned to contest the 2017 national elections. Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
Turning overseas, a French farmer faces charges of helping migrants illegally cross into France. His trial is set to begin, but here's why he's taking such a risk to help others.
On the French side of the Roya Valley, poultry and olives earn Cédric Héroux a living by day. By night, he breaks the law by helping migrants to cross the border.
In the Roya Valley, it's a tradition. If you look at the Second World War, we have a history of helping people, of welcoming them. We have a rebellious spirit. If we have to work outside the law to defend the values that represent us, the French people, then we'll do it.
Today, 35 migrants will share Cédric's tiny farmhouse and his clothes. He says he's just picking up the pieces of a broken system.
So sometimes at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. we go and pick up the miners in Italy, miners who have called me, who are in Ventimiglia sleeping rough. I help the miners who don't have papers across the border. It's not my job to ask people for their papers.
As more Eritrean boys arrived at Cédric's, we tried to speak to local police, but our calls were not returned. After the longest of treks, the boys rest here for the first time in months and share stories. Stories of a journey that's taken them from sub-Saharan Africa through the desert, across the sea and on to northern Italy. Ventimiglia is only 20 miles away from Cédric's. Here, hundreds of migrants wait in the shadows for their chance to get across the border, relying while they wait on the kindness of strangers.
It's nearly midnight in Ventimiglia, and this group of 15 and 16-year-old Eritrean boys is waiting to make another attempt to get across the French border. When midnight comes, they'll make their way down this railway track for the 3 to 4 hour walk that will take them to France.
Through the Roya Valley, the most fortunate ones will arrive at Cédric's farm, like this Eritrean girl and her niece, who've been on the road for 6 months.
It's like our father, mother. I don't know. In all my life, I have not get anyone like Cédric.
Soon, these two children will set off in the hope of finding another kind soul on their uncertain journey northwards.
Chukai Sports is next. We'll join Jeremy Mogi with updates of the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup. Stay tuned.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. The quarterfinals for the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup will begin tomorrow afternoon. USA takes on Mexico while Brazil will play Japan. Here's Jeremy with the details.
Thanks, Helen. Brazil will take on Japan tomorrow afternoon in the quarterfinals. It's been 8 years since Brazil advanced past the group stage to reach these quarterfinals. That's it from me. It's back to Helen.
Thank you, Jeremy. Chukai Sports continues with the day's other stories when we return. Stay tuned.
Chukai Sports.
Coaching development in PNG is slowly covering all sporting codes in the country, with training provided by PNG High Performance Sport through the Oceania Sports Education Program. Coaching Development Manager for PNG High Performance Sport, Sulueti Tarasomo, says providing Level 2 coaching to all coaches of different codes is next in line to be implemented.
Coaching Development Manager Sulueti Tarasomo, who recently attended a 3-day coaching program in Suva, Fiji, said the program was a trial on coaching development. One of the regular programs that OSEF runs in the country is the community coaching and official training in getting all athletes and coaches familiar with their roles in the communities.
We went there for the trial of it, and we analyzed it, gave some ideas to the OSEF people in Fiji, And once that's finalized, then it will be endorsed for us to run it as the level 2 from the CCNO.
With the level of coaching slowly developing in the country, PNG High Performance continues to run specific programs for both the coaches and athletes so that both parties can fully understand their roles.
Currently, we don't have a coaching standard for coaches in PNG. Each sport do their own stuff. So this is a generic one, which we're trying to get all Team PNG coaches on, which will also help them. And their own sports will give them from the ones from their own sports. But
in her recent visit to Gold Coast, Australia, working with coaches from different sporting codes was to see the level of performance of each coach and to identify areas that needed improvement.
What we have learned from down there and the experience, because we actually went onto the tracks and saw the facilities and stuff, it has kind of boosted the coaches, and they're all looking forward to this game in 2018.
Meanwhile, while all coaches and athletes are familiar with the Level 1 coaching, Level 2 coaching will also be organized and carried out for all coaches so that the level of coaching in PNG can be brought to a level higher when dealing with different sporting events and athletes' preparations. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
PNG's high-performance team for the first time carried out a talent pathway program to identify talents from selected schools around NCD and Central Province. The first school to undergo the program at the Aquatic Indoor Sports Centre this month was St. Joseph's International School. Godwineki reports.
50 students from St. Joseph's International School were the first ones to go through the program earlier this month, taking part in 4 different exercise activities provided by the strength and conditioning staff. The program was carried out to identify talented individuals based on their ability as well as providing player pathways. Talent Pathway Officer Cornelius Papau said the program will also be carried out into rural, remote areas of NCD and Central Provinces.
So we got this talent identification program with the secondary schools that we've got them through to do some testings, plus education session on personal development, positive attitude and nutrition hydration. And we have the students will have a chance to get a tour around the 2 studios where the athletes, Team PNG athletes come and do their weight session and warm-ups.
He says selected students based on their merit to successfully pass provided activities, but the high-performance team will go into player pathways, which are the next level of fitness.
Both boys and girls will go through the 4 testings, and the ones that we find that are past our marks, test performance markers, will definitely be going through again for the screening, and then they'll be eligible for the T3 Scholarship Award.
In the next coming week, the high-performance team will carry out another talent pathway program in search of more raw talents in both communities and schools in Central and NCD. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
Women in sports was a key point of discussion during the Money in Sports conference on the Gold Coast. A panel of 4 women speakers discussed the involvement of all women in sports and how women are qualified to do just the same jobs as their male counterparts.
Obstacle racing.
Vicky Saunders, Cassandra Hilbron, Tanya Galina and Kimost Hollett were the 4 female panelists and top in the business were treated to an array of sports-related questions from their male counterparts. These 4 women spoke about their experiences in working in a male-dominated environment and doing jobs that a man would usually do, all coming from different backgrounds and experiences in sports. From off-field to sports administration and on-field, it was clear the women knew what they were talking about and the challenges they are willing to tackle.
The reality is, I think if we just are confident in what we've got to say and why we're here, what is our contribution? Not do I fit in, or is it okay if I'm a woman or not? Just to know what you know and bring that and be part of it.
She says women should challenge themselves in order to grow in the business. She says her experience in the business in 3 years has shaped her to overcome challenges and that taking risks in life sometimes will only help you grow stronger in whatever you choose to do.
I think the change comes from us, and it's not about being angry or fighting for our rights. It's doing what we believe we should be doing and what we want to do, and doing it in a way that's true to ourselves. Not just doing it because we've got a point to prove, but doing it because we've got value to add, whether that's on the playing field or whether that's as a supporter.
Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
And that ends True Kai Sports. The weather details when we come back.
Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield, with doing with Dulux.
Looking at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region, fine although cloudy at times in Port Moresby, Alotau and Popondetta, and fine in Daru and Kerema. In the Mamasi region, fine although cloudy in Ley and Madang, and fine then brief showers likely in Wewak and fine in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Island region, brief showers in Lorengau, brief thundery showers then cloudy in Kavieng and Buka, fine although cloudy at times in Kokopo and Ribau, and fine in Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, brief thundery showers then expected morning fog in all centres.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield, with doing with Dulux.
Now recapping our main stories for tonight. Madang Lutherans highlighting importance of environment, concerns over benefits from Manus Refugee deal, and Sydney Mining Conference expected to draw thousands. And that has been the news, sports and weather for tonight, Wednesday, 23rd of November 2016. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Helen Seah. Pleasant viewing. Good night.